Live on Facebook. Here we go. Should be live on Facebook momentarily.
Do we have some music?
Not yet. Boy, that's a great idea. Why are you like one of the last ones to go and give me that idea? All right, we are going live. It is preparing, Vera. We should be seeing it pop up. It is setting up.
Let me check. Yes.
All right, we are live on Facebook. Once again, Vera, I will give you a moment to share our Facebook Live. I'm going to do the same. And for our people that are joining us, individuals joining us on Facebook Live, welcome, welcome. Sorry for our brief delay. New computer meant a new login, and unfortunately, I didn't plan ahead quite as well. And I was trying to help Vera because, you know, she wanted a little extra time. I'm kidding. It's not her fault at all. So welcome, 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 Facebook Live.
Means I had to finish my makeup.
As I told her when she told me that, she always is beautiful. So I don't know what she was trying to finish. So she is definitely the star of today. It is not me. Although all of our co-authors are the star each week. And I just am lucky enough to be able to interview them and talk about it. So, you know, Vera, you looks like you've shared the post. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Are you good if we get going?
Did I did the right thing?
You did it. It's shared. I saw it. I saw Vera shared, Vince shared. We're live. So I think it's time for us to welcome our visitors one more time and get started, if that's okay with you.
Okay, let's go.
Awesome. Well, once again, for our Facebook Live audience, we are live with one of our co-authors. This time I am absolutely pleased to have the one that we call our little sister. Vera is with us today, and just a brief intro for Vera, and we'll let her tell a little bit more about herself. But she was born and raised in Slovenia, although she resides across the border in Italy. She is driven by her curiosity to learn new language, which allows her to meet people from a bunch of different countries. And of course, she reminds us to always, always follow our passion. And if you want something, you will find a way to get it. Just a side note for all of you today, she fluently speaks and writes Slovenian, Italian, Spanish, and English. And she also understands a bit of German and Croatian. So awesome, Vera. Remember, I only speak English, so you have to bear with me today. Vera, welcome to Facebook Live.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you. Welcome to everyone. And yeah, which English? British or American?
American English. Let's not give Russ any credit. He and I already discussed that last week. So no. We're going to stay with American English.
For me, it's easier because I watched a lot of movies in America.
Yeah. Well, and as Russ and I have talked, you know, he's hard enough to understand because he's not even English, as he calls it. He's Scottish English or something. So Vera, anything else you want to tell our audience about yourself?
Well, there are so many things, but you got the point. You got the point. I'm very curious, and that's why I travel. That's why I love to meet new people, taste new food, try new things, see new cultures. So yes, that's why I think I love so much our friendship circle because it's so different.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things for our listeners that Vera and I learned over a year ago now that we have in common is a tremendous passion for travel. I know some of our listeners and of course readers of the book know that I grew up in the travel business, but that's something that Vera and I very much have in common. We love to travel. We love to see new places, meet new people. And so that is definitely a commonality we have. So Vera, let's jump right in to your chapter, which for our listeners, it is story number 9. So we're nearing the end of book 1, although we've got a couple of authors left yet, including myself, but that's not what we're here for today. Your story, number 9, is titled, You Are the Creator of Your Reality. So without telling the whole story, tell our listeners a little bit about your chapter.
It's about my journey of learning how to manifest, how to use the law of attraction in my favor. And it wasn't easy. I began in 2013 to practice, to meditate, to center myself, and to understand more about the spiritual part of our lives. So I put many things into the practice, and in this chapter are some things that I wrote about, some things that happened after I did some meditation or something similar. Or at the end, I found a scientist wanted to prove how we can create, how we can shape our reality. So he did an experiment. I won't tell a lot of it, but the experiment to prove how if we have a strong intention, but we also rise our emotions as emotions of joy, of happiness, of love, this is how we can then shape our reality. And he proved it and I wrote also at the end of the chapter, as like, if all this that I wrote doesn't convince you that it works, that what you think you attract, what you feel the most you attract, there is also the proof at the end of the book. So
Absolutely.
And also I put inside all of those coaches, writers, and well-known authors that from where I learned to make first steps.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. And if it's not obvious, if you guys don't know Vera well or don't know a lot about her, she's very much in touch with the emotional side of things and really pulls that out of each and every one of us. I can tell you, as one of the co-authors, she definitely keeps us on track, but also keeps us grounded to remember some of the emotions, because sometimes, now in her defense, she had to work with 9 other entrepreneurs, 9 men. Bless her heart, she was able to put up with all of us, and that's another story we'll get to a little bit later. But as you guys are well aware by now, this is the first book in a 3-part series. This one, of course, the emphasis was on the entry into entrepreneurship. Vera, what are you most looking forward to in book 2 and book 3, where we focus on scaling up and even then the journey with preneur and ship as our focus?
First of all, you are talking about that I'm the emotional part of the group. And I wanted just to add, I'm a woman.
I did point that out. I didn't make, I didn't make it the focus, but I did point out you were the only female in the 10 authors. And, again, you had to put up with 9 strong-willed men. And I still question how you did it and maybe even why you did it. But hey, It is. You survived book one, and I know you're working on book two. So
Why I did it, it's a great question. Maybe later, maybe later. In the second, my is finished. I just have to cut some stuff out because it's a bit too long. I'm writing from a different point of view. As we were talking about, I'm a woman, and about the women world. This time I'm writing about seeing the business world from the high heels. So how it is to be a woman into a pretty much men's environment. And our book is a proof.
yeah, I mean, you're 1 out of 10. I mean, so you think about that, 10% of the book was from a female perspective, 90% of the book was from a male perspective. And while those numbers may not relate, exactly to the world that's out there in the business environment, you're right. In the world that you've come into and been part of, and that we've been part of together, it is definitely dominated by the male. And so you have had to look at things differently. And so when you think about book two and book three, and I know you've already started working on your chapter in book two, is there something that you're really excited about?
I'm excited about sharing with men, because this is how you can learn more about women, and how many fears do we have in our heads.
Well, and I can tell you, Vera, as a male talking to you, we have plenty to learn about women. So you could probably write a whole book just on that topic, and you have 9 brothers that would probably help give you content for that book. But that's a whole different discussion that we probably want to go into at a later date.
We just launched the 4th book.
There you go. It's all about men having to learn about women, and Vera is going to be the lead on that one. So apparently that's the most exciting part now for you when we talk about what you're looking forward to. So why don't you talk about what it was like to be, part of the book and working with the 9 other authors. Go ahead.
The other part is to share these things with women, with men, so they can understand better when they talk to women, and for women to not feel alone, that it's like this, we are like this, and it's okay that we are different, and we are all different.
Well, and that's a point in our book that we make on the back page of the back cover about how entrepreneurs are not alone. And you're right, whether man or woman, in your case, woman, you're not alone. And it might feel like that sometimes, but no, you're definitely not alone. So that said, best part or what you want to share about working with the 9 of us, you can certainly be kind to me. If you want to pick on any of the others, that's totally fine. I'll help you probably.
Well, the last year was very it was like a huge power on that came from nowhere, and we had to find a way to deal with it, not to get hurt. We in BNI, as leaders of communities, business communities, had to keep some balance and try to make them feel good, to be confident, to have faith, even though no one of us knew at the time where we are going, when it will be the end of this. We were hoping weeks, then it was months, and then we said, okay, 2 years.
Yeah.
We don't know. So being there, a strong person for all of others, that all others that are relying on you somehow. They are looking at you like, for sure, you have the answers. You know, how can we go out of it? And you feel this huge responsibility also for their lives, business lives, that is also then related to personal lives. So at one point, I remember it was in the evening with all this pressure when I ended the last phone call, when I sat down and I started to cry out of nowhere. I was exhausted of all this pressure, and I was insecure, but I had to deal with it and to turn it like Aikido, bring what is coming to you and turn it into your favor, and try to see the opportunities, because it's always like this. It's always, there are plenty of opportunities. So at one point, dealing with 9 of you was like, for me, was like a spa. I could relax because I knew here I can be myself. I can be vulnerable. Oh, help me.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
I'll say the word. They got it. Vulnerable. I got you covered.
You can be, because we are in the same positions. Maybe with one with smaller, one with bigger number, but more or less is the same position. So we understand each other, and we can just cheer each other up. And what we saw in our friendship circle, I think it came out really the worst and the best of each and every one of us. I don't know if you felt this, but at one point we were arguing. It wasn't always the good time. We weren't always partying and having a good time together. We were arguing a lot. And it was all this nervous that we had to wash away all these energies somehow. And surprisingly, even when I hit the bottom, when this was the challenge, to this, I was deciding to be or not to be on this journey with the book, to write or not to write. And everyone gave, I asked each and every one of you, I don't know if you know this, what this group mean to you, because I needed to know where I'm going with these guys. What if it's all about the ego, for example, I wouldn't go with you. If it's just for our ego, I wouldn't be in the project for this kind of the journey. So each and every one gave me a completely different answer, completely different. But the interesting part is that all the answers were pointed in the same direction. So even if we are so different, and the book is every chapter is different. Antonio is talking about he as a kid. Someone else started when I already grew up, after I finished high school. I started later, even if now I don't have so much material for the third book.
But it's still writing itself. And so, I mean, when you think about, if we go back to the question, what was the best part of working with the 9 partners? It was your passion that led all of us, and it was the emotion that you brought to the group that led to a challenge, which was another question. What was the biggest challenge? And you you talked about it. The biggest challenge for you writing book one was actually deciding to write it, deciding if it was the right place for you to be. And I think it's interesting because I know personally, I knew that you had asked each of the 9 of us about our why we wanted to be involved, why even we wanted you to be involved. I know you and I discussed that, quite in depth in our conversation. So, it's funny because that's something that you probably more than any other one of the other 9 learned. You learned each and everyone else's why behind the book, the project, really the books, if you want to look at it as the overall project. And so, we talked about future books 2 and 3, and you even joked about 4 and 5. It sounds like there's another book in there as you look back after these first 3 books that you could probably lead us down with our own personal journey in answering that question for you. So what's something that you learned from, you kind of mentioned it, you hit on it, but you mentioned that everybody, although the answer was different, everybody was moving in the same direction. What did that teach you, or what did you learn from that discussion or those discussions about the other 9 and specifically working with the others?
That there are so many things that I can learn from you guys, that they are not so, these relationships are not shallow. And we are very transparent and honest to each other, and in bad and good times. So, and
I mean, Vera, you mentioned that. I mean, I remember back over a year ago, you were kind of dealing with all of this first. And that was kind of how all this started was, Vera, tell us what you're experiencing in Italy. Tell us what's going on there. And of course, most recently, as we look at it, Bharat is dealing with it in India. And here we are, as you mentioned, 15 months almost later. So it's very different for everybody, but we've all had to deal with it. Some of us, personally speaking, have had to actually deal with having COVID and recovering from it, and those kinds of things. So what else would you like to share about the project and the 9 authors?
well, I would love to share, if I can, the 21st.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it. August 21st.
August 21st, which is the day of all entrepreneurs, right?
World Entrepreneur Day is August 21st. I know we've mentioned it before on these Facebook Lives and on our video, but yes, it is World Entrepreneurship, August 21st.
So I look forward for this event and to share it with, because I love to bring all of you in my place, in my home, in my region, in my house, and so also my friends, my business partners, collaborators, and everyone, clients also, they can learn from you and pick something that could be useful for their growth.
So it's funny that you mention your home, because somebody on Facebook Live, Jill Sodden, hello, Jill, shout out to you. Thank you for watching. She said, I remember seeing you out on your balcony with your cat and how unaware all of us were how much our worlds were going to change. So that was back in March of 2020 that she's referring to. And I remember that morning for me, that day, very vividly. We took a picture, all of us, the 10 of us together, my wife and kids, and Jill was there. I mean, many others brought their spouses and children into the picture for us all to wave. And you pointed it out earlier. We had no idea how long it was going to be. 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. And now here we are. We've written a book. We're working on book 2. We're talking about future events. And here we are, you mentioning August 21st, without even realizing that Jill had written that, talking about bringing people into your home, and each of us bringing people into our lives and seeing that. So yeah, absolutely. A very important day, one that I know all 10 of us are very much looking forward to. Anything else you want to touch on that particular event?
Oh no, I just thought that you wanted to bring the cat on again.
You know, as some of our listeners know, I'm a dog guy, not a cat guy, but I always enjoy seeing your cat with us. So, here comes. Nope, I thought you were grabbing the cat. Okay, nope, not right now. So Vera, you know this question is coming. Hopefully you're well prepared for it. Oh, you've got something before I get to that final question?
Let me think.
You're trying to avoid the final question, aren't you?
You were asking me something. We were talking about home, about traveling, the challenges, what I've learned. I'm sure that was another question before the last one.
I don't think so. I went through all the questions that we were going to talk about. So I'm going to go right to the last question, Vera. What is...
questions if someone asks something in the chat box?
I'm watching it, and the only thing that was pointed out, and you know, one of our co-authors, I won't tell you who, but that gentleman usually has a hat on. So he pointed out that even though you were only 10% of the book, you did write the longest chapter. So I think he's calling you out on being a little wordy in the book. So again, I don't want to mention his name. You know, it's not very politically correct, PC, if you know what I mean, Vera, to call you out like that. But you know, you're going to have to deal with him. I'm going to guess you may not pick him as the favorite chapter in the book. So if it's not the guy that wears the hat, which chapter was your favorite in the book?
Who was the first one that asked that question?
The first person to ask that question, it was asked of me by Brandon, who has a radio show on, his radio show is called Success Can Be Fun with Referrals, or Success Can Be Fun is the name of his radio show, and that is on the IBGR radio network. So I was the first one asked. It was asked by Brandon, and then I turned around and I asked Bharat first on our series. So
actually, was because this guy catch you on the radio asking you which is your favorite chapter. You had to choose one. So now this is your revenge to each and every one of us?
Correct. So you can't avoid the question anymore. You know the question, Vera. Did you have a favorite chapter?
Right. Okay. Is very I like this thing about male and female energies. I'm not talking man or woman, just energies. And the male energy is much more competitive, while the female energy is much more collaborative. And if we look behind in the history, men were out hunting for food, and women created the agriculture, so cultivating, building also relationships and so on. So I'm not a mother, but you are a father. How can you pick up the best kid? I can't.
That is a fair answer. It is sticking with the politically correct theme. That is definitely a good answer. You're getting called out by the gentleman that wears the hat. I'm going to call him by name this time. Paulo says you're avoiding the question. So, and actually Jan is also calling you out now. So, okay, you're narrowing down. Russ thinks it's his. So apparently everybody thinks it's their own. So I think you've done your job quite well by not picking a favorite brother. Even though you are live with me today, that would have been the best choice, clearly.
But I have something. I was collecting because I try to play with you guys to be more men in that sense. And I try. So I put down all the things that I found similar to my story, or the things that I love that you told us. I discover some things that I didn't know. So I put everything that I like of each other, of each chapter, except of mine, of course. And I couldn't decide. So I discovered from Antonio that he was born as a genius. I know that he is a genius, but I thought that he learned in school. No, he was teaching as a kid.
You thought he developed his geniusness, but so Antonio's a genius. Okay, how about Bharat?
And we have something in common, all of us, which is the passion and the perseverance. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, I talk about perseverance and persistence all the time, and we absolutely have that in common.
Yeah. So also Antonio has he repeat a few times in the chapter, never give up. Because
right. You got to persevere through everything. Absolutely.
And I think Antonio and Marcus, yeah, we're talking about that you can choose who you want to be. And this is also something that I wrote in my chapter. Then Bharat is actually, Bharat and Marcus was talking about the no's, how many no's you have to receive and you have to be happy, but in three different stories.
Totally different stories, absolutely.
And it also different lessons is the same, but explained in a different way. This is also something that I found very interesting in reading the book of Chapters of Others. So Edgar, we had something in common, I realized, and which is at one point, well, I was 15. I took the responsibility for my life, and I decided to do something about it and to stop playing a victim. Because, yeah, for a few years, I felt a victim. So, and when I was 15, I think 16, an event happened, and then I decided just to take the responsibility for everything that happened to me. Even if I'm on the street, I'm doing nothing and someone hit my car, I will ask myself, why did I attract this situation in my life?
Sure.
And yeah, this is the very first step of becoming a creator, taking the responsibility. And well, Jan is my oldest friend, let's say. I know he was the first one in this.
Longest term friend, not oldest, longest term.
we met in Lisbon, and we spent some time together. The trips in doing trips and dining with a bunch of other people. And he's also this first day that we met each other, we were laughing all the time. We were laughing all the time. I was crying. So being positive, and you will attract luck. You are not, of course, you're positive, you are laughing, you are bringing joy and love. Of course, you will receive the same energy back. And this is so-called luck, maybe. And this is something, and to dream big, to dream and live your dream. And
he definitely reminds us of that, no doubt.
And the thing that we had in common, that his father was a teacher and my mother was a teacher also. So I know how it is to be a kid of the teacher in that school. And well, the story of Mark was also like with different countries, different cultures. It was like a travel. He made you travel through time, through different cultures, and yeah, surfing. And we have something also with Mark in common, that we started to babysit when we were 14. And I also love math, but not so much as he does, because he turned it into the business. So
yeah, I used to think that I loved math until I met Mark, and as I've told before, he even got my kids to enjoy math when we were out of town together. All right, yeah. You've only got a few left, so I'm going to let you hit them all since you're not going to pick one.
Well, also something is some stuff that are very similar. Knowing that you have to know what you want, who you want to be, and he was also talking about you have to know your why, which is then your passion that drives you. So these are all important things for someone that is starting a business, or also to be inspired in these times to shift, to change, to close something, open something else for new beginnings. And and the fact that out of the comfort zone is the life that you desire. There are all your desires coming true, but you have to go out of the comfort zone. Actually, you have to spread it. And with Paolo, we have in common that we both opened a company when we were 28. And I didn't know that he likes to sing, so maybe we can do some music next time, me and Paolo.
Well, at least you don't have in common with him that you wear a hat all the time. So we all appreciate that.
And I love the message that he sent in this in his chapter, is how we depend on each other, that we are all connected, we are all one. And how it's important to have fun, which is something that we have in common, I think. And everything is happening for a reason. So these are also important messages that are very common to my way of thinking. And I learned that me and Russ have in common something also. What the lesson that we've learned, but in different experiences. Russ opened a shop with florist shop.
Yep.
And what he learned, you remember what he learned?
I don't remember what you're going to point out, but what is it, so that you can remind me?
To be different from the competitors.
Differentiate, yep.
To think out of the box. Do something that don't.
He talked about it last week, how he wanted to do the arrangement that the receiver wanted and knowing what they wanted. You know, it was pointed out on Facebook Live that both you and Russ just recently learned English. That's something else that you have in common.
Excuse me?
It was a joke, Vera, that you and Russ just learned English. Jan, that comment apparently was dropped miserably. So I think that's everybody, right, Vera? You've touched on everyone?
No. Well, what Russ learned in a real business, I learned it on the street. I was selling. There was a time when I was very young that I went to Spain to sell paintings on the street, door to door. So in this way, when everyone went to shops, I thought, no, I will go where no one wants to go. I went to Hungary, into industry zones. I was knocking on the, how you call the big buildings in the industry zones? Hangar.
The skyscrapers?
I don't know.
You said tall buildings?
No, so the hangar.
Hunger. In Hungary?
Oh, come on. I'm so bad in English. Can we switch on Italian? You're Italian.
I'm Italian, but I don't speak it, dear.
You have to. You're Italian. Come on. I will teach you.
I know. I need that. I need that. You know, I have a passion for that.
No. And then it's yours, Vince. Yours that I was working in a travel agency in Tenerife and then in Slovenia. I was working on the cruise ship while you were you like the cruise ship. I don't like it. So
I am ready. I'm ready, as I told you, for cruising to return, and I wish nothing but the best for the cruise line industry.
And another thing that we both resist to B&I, saying no, and didn't want to join it at first, and then we fell in love. And another thing is maybe this and other lessons taught us to be open-minded.
Absolutely.
Being open-minded and accepting the responsibility of what's happening and turn what's coming to you in your favor. Actually, you can start all over and all over again, and you did it. When the crisis starts and you changed your business from your passion to do something which was very different. But
absolutely. Well, you touched on everybody now, Vera. So I have to remind our listeners that we have an upcoming interview. Now, next week, we will not be live on Facebook. So our next interview is with Mr. Antonio Afonso, as you mentioned, our genius, born in Angola, but resides in Portugal. He will be with me at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Monday, June the 7th. That's 10 a.m. Eastern time on Monday, June the 7th. Vera, I'm going to wrap up today, and I want to thank you for your time. As Paolo pointed out, you now hold the longest interview also, besides the longest chapter in the book, and you avoided the most difficult question in the best way.
Paolo, you are still there. This is the best.
He is still there. There's quite a few people still watching, and a few that came in later. So it's good that we went a little bit longer. We started a little bit later. Vera, any final words for our listeners today?
Yeah, just the final. You can be, do, or have whatever you want.
Absolutely. I love it. Big hugs to you. Looking forward to seeing you in the future in person, not just via the screen like we have for the last 15 months. Much love to you and to all of our listeners. We'll see you on Monday, June 7th, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you.